Hi, I'm Kanisha Coleman. I'm the Beauty CPA. I help beauty entrepreneurs like you save money on your taxes by reducing your tax liability with effective tax planning. Today, we are talking about 10 business tax credits every beauty entrepreneur should know. So, for those of you who are just joining me, we've been talking about tax planning for 2 to 3 weeks now. I use a six-part framework to identify if a person has tax saving opportunity potential. We are on step 4 of that framework. So I'll briefly go over that framework for anybody that's new to this tax planning series. Step 1 was entity structure. Step 2 was looking at accounting methods. Step 3 was maximizing tax deductions. This week, we've been talking about step 4, maximizing tax credits and incentives. Step 5, next week, is going to be we're talking about retirement planning, and we're going to wrap this thing up with advanced tax strategies and loopholes. So that's the tax planning framework. This I've been opening up my books for the month of August to help you all with tax planning. Your first resource that you have that you can take advantage of right away is the new freebie that I created, and it is the tax planning framework cheat sheet. It will list and describe those 6 parts that I just went over. So the 6 steps of the tax planning framework. You can get your cheat sheet by, if you're on Instagram, going to my first link in my bio. You can download your free copy there. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you have the link right in the caption. The second resource that you all can take advantage of is you can book a free tax strategy session with me. We will take about 30 minutes. We will review your tax returns, and I'll let you know, I'll give you a rough estimate of how much potential that I see you can save if you were to move forward with tax planning. So please take advantage of that. I open my books up for the month of August for that resource, for that opportunity. The slots are filling up fast. We're about halfway through August. So please take advantage of that right away. Right now is a great time for tax planning because we are a little over halfway through the year. We still have some time left to rearrange your financial affairs in a way to minimize your 2020 tax bill as much as we possibly can. So please, tax planning is most effective when you have time left. So every day that you wait to tax plan, that's less and less tax savings you can realize. So please do not wait. Today, my books are filling up fast. That is going to be Instagram's second link in my bio, Facebook and YouTube. You have the link to my calendar right there in the caption. So I know it's Friday. I'm not going to take too much of your afternoon. Let's get right into the 10 business tax credits. So I have a lot here for you all. For those of you out there, if I say something that is intriguing to you, please feel free to leave your questions or comments in the comment section and we'll get to those. If you are shy and maybe something hits you later in the day or the weekend, feel free to send me a message and we can connect and we can talk about that, whatever your question or comment may be. But let's get into these 10 hot business tax credits that I want you all, the beauty entrepreneur, to know, to keep in mind always, to make sure you're taking what you're entitled to. So let me briefly go over tax credits. This will be really quick. And I talked about this the last time I went live, right? I wanted to know and make sure that you guys understood the difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit. And so a tax deduction, it does save you money, but it does not have the power of a tax credit. The tax savings that you realize from a tax deduction really depends on whatever tax rate that you're in. So the example I gave last time that I spoke to you all is, let's say you have a $1,000 tax deduction, you're in a 20% tax rate, you will save $200, right? However, if you had that same amount, that $1,000 as a tax credit, you will save $1,000 on your tax bill, right? That's $1,000 you get to keep in your pocket. So tax deduction lowers taxable income. tax credit lowers the actual tax bill, right? Dollar for dollar. We talked last time about tax credits, some being refundable and some being not refundable, right? So the non-refundable ones, they're still great, they're still awesome, but it will not put money in your pocket beyond whatever your tax bill is, right? So if that $1,000 tax credit that you get, if your tax bill is only $500 and you have a $1,000 tax credit and it's non-refundable, you will wipe out your tax bill, but then that's it. You're not going to get the $500 back into your pocket. However, your refundable tax credits, you would be able to take the excess of the credit after paying off the bill back in your pocket. So we love refundable tax credits. And then there are two layers of tax credits. So first layer being business tax credits is what we're going to talk about today. And then we have your personal tax credits. And we're going to talk about those over the weekend. I'll come back with a hot list just like I'm doing for that business layer today. Now, for the business tax credit category, you are eligible for these, or your business are eligible for these business tax credits because you are doing something specific within your business versus the personal tax credits. That means like you're doing something specific, like just within your personal life to be able to qualify for the credit. So let's keep that context in mind. Today, we're going to be talking about the business layer. Okay. So on my list, and these are in no particular order, right? I was going to like create suspense and go number 10 through number 1, number 1 being the hottest, but they're all hot to me. And there are a lot of credits out there, but I have the 10 that I want you all to always know. Don't bother taking any notes or anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a post for both of my platforms, Instagram and Facebook, and you can get, the list there. Just so you can stay with me and stay connected throughout this session, because I'm going to be timely this Friday afternoon. Okay, so number 1, credit for small employer health insurance premium. So you know how like if you have employees and there is an employer portion that you are paying on behalf of your employees, you can get a credit for that. You get 50%, you get a credit in the amount of 50% of the premiums that you're paying on behalf of your employees for health insurance coverage. Now, one thing I do want to give, this is a disclaimer, and this is for everything that we're talking about today. This is everything we're talking about ever. Okay. When I bring this information to you all, I want you to be aware, and I want you to keep these things in your back pocket when it comes to tax planning and staying in the know of things that are going to save you money. By no way should you take what I'm saying today or any other day and go try to do this stuff yourself. I want you to always consult your tax professional. If you're working with one already, work with that person. Use this as your speaking points. When you all meet next, I hope you do have, at least quarterly meetings scheduled so that you all can be proactive in tax plan to save you money on your taxes. If you're not working with anyone, you can call me. Use the second link in my bio to book your free tax strategy session with me today. And then if you are out there trying to do this yourself, I would encourage you to explore working with me. So use the second link in my bio, just because there are some rules and eligibility points that you want to make sure that you meet to be able to qualify for these credits. And then you also want to make sure that they're being computed properly as well. So even if you know what they are, the eligibility, and you know that you qualify, you still want to make sure you're getting those numbers right. And some of this can be kind of complicated. So please always consult your current tax professional, or if you don't have one, second link in my bio. All right, so business tax credit, I want you all to know. Number 2, the credit for paying for paid family and medical leave related to COVID. Now, this credit is not brand new, right? So it was out before. You could take advantage of it. Then it was repealed. But then the pandemic happened. So they revived this credit for you all to take advantage of. If you've had to pay as an employer and you had to pay for your employees to take family medical leave and it was related to COVID, you can get a tax credit for the wages that you still paid them on that sick leave. Okay, that's awesome. Especially, please, and all of this determines if you've been keeping great records. Thank you for those who are joining me. I see you all coming in. We're just on business tax credit number 2, which is the credit for paid family and medical leave related to COVID. All of these things are predicated on how good your records are. You have to be keeping good records because when you're going through the eligibility criteria, for example, you're going to see things like, must have had this many employees or not exceeded this many employees, or maybe there's a wage cap and you won't know that if you don't have adequate records to depend on. So just make sure that when you're going through this, you're talking through it with a professional and you have the best records you could possibly have to piggyback off of to make sure you're meeting all the eligibility criteria. Okay, so credit number 3, disabled access credit. So you know how you go to a brick and mortar salon or spa or studio of some sort, and they have ramps there, right, for disabled people to be able to come up the ramp if they can't walk upstairs. Or maybe there are the, those buttons you push that automatically opens the doors in the case they can't open the doors themselves. Or maybe even you have a spa menu and you have a version in Braille, right? You have a version in Braille. Or you just have you have mechanisms in place in your studio, salon, or spa for people with disabilities to be able to still be serviced and be able to communicate with you or have access to your facility. You can get a tax credit for the money you have paid to put all those things in place. How cool is that? That is awesome. Now, are you seeing how tax credits kind of work? Tax credits are really put in place and they have the money saving power that they have to encourage you all, the taxpayer, to do certain things that the government encourages, like making it easier for the elderly and the disabled to access everyday life, especially salon and spas, right? Okay, so the next one, number 4, credit for employer provided child care facilities or services. So this credit I love as well, right? You get a credit for the money that you spend on either having a child care facility to take care of your employees' children or paying money for them to have access to those services. So you don't literally have to have or build your own brick and mortar, like a daycare facility. You could be paying an already existing daycare that maybe you have just a contract with to help your employees have access to childcare for their children. That's awesome as well. So you get a credit for that. If you're already doing it, I hope you're taking the credit for it. Research and development credit. Now, this is one of my top. Just because the research and development credit, it encourages innovation. It encourages forward thinking and proactive. It encourages just creation, right, of our future products and services within the industry. And I know that a lot of you are already doing this, whether it's actively or passively. You're already thinking of new ideas pertaining to your products or services. So if what you're doing meets the eligibility criteria, you can get a credit for the money that you spend on pursuing those ideas through the research and development credit. Now, I'll have to warn you, out of my whole list here, that is the most complex one. But if you're working with someone, they should really help you with that. And if you're not working with someone, like I said, reach out to me, book a call. My calendar link is in the second link in my bio, or the caption below on Facebook and YouTube, or just send me a DM. Now, if you are, let's talk about the R&D credit just a little more. If you're having activities like you're developing new products, like actual products that you're selling, whether that's a hair product, skin product, nail product, a cosmetic, you can get the R&D credit for that. If you're revamping processes or formulas, so maybe you're taking it from how it used to be, and then maybe you're making it more clean, you're making it vegan, you're making it just more environmentally safe, that qualifies as well. Let's say you're making a prototype, you're changing packaging on something that already exists. Let's say something's not new, but you're just drastically improving the performance of it. You can get the R&D credit for that. Let's say you just think of the new technologies. The reason why I'm really honing in on this, guys, is because in the beauty industry, technology, the trends are ever changing. The trends are ever changing. So I feel like as beauty entrepreneurs, don't be passive. Don't think that all these things you're doing, it means nothing. It's just that. It's just, don't take for granted what you're doing, because it could save you, that process and the money you're spending on it can save you some money in the long run, right? So whether you think it's something as simple, this is just my little lip gloss that I'm researching on how it can do this or do that, or creating a formula, that little lip gloss, the money you're spending on it can really save you some money in tax dollars. So I would say if you have any of these projects in the works right now, please take a hard look at them and the money you're spending on them, and exactly the specific activities that you're partaking in on a daily basis to either improve or create or make clean or test or revamping formulas or processes. See if those qualify for the R&D tax credit. Okay, I'm gonna pause right there. If there's any questions about R&D tax credit, please feel free to drop them now. If you can't think of any, or if think something just pops up in your mind, again, I highly encourage that you book some time with me or send me a DM, because the R&D tax credit saves a ton of dollars, but it's the computation and the determination of the specific activities. It takes a little bit of time, but someone qualified, such as myself, and maybe even the tax professional that you may be working with now, and they're familiar, they can look into those activities and see if they qualify for this tax credit. Okay. We're halfway through the list. Halfway through. I hope I'm not going too fast. This number 6, retirement plan startup costs. So I love this one because it's kind of, you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of the employees. We're going to be talking about retirement planning next week. I'm actually bringing on a guest. This person loves to talk about saving and retirement planning for small business owners. I'm bringing him on so he can talk with us about the different types of retirement plans for the small business owner, and just saving in general, especially since I know some of you may be in the process of rebuilding, because we are going through what we're going through, and then maybe even preparing ourselves to be able to survive this if something like this or similar to happens in the future. So we'll be talking about retirement planning, business saving next week. Just for this point right here, when you start up a new retirement plan for you and your company, your employees, you can get a credit for the startup costs. Not only for the year of the plan, for like the first 3 years of the plan. So you're saving money the year you start this retirement plan in the following 2 years. Just for starting up. And you're going to be doing, I love the credits and the deductions you take when you're going to do this anyway. You're probably going to be saving for retirement for yourself and your employees anyway. So now you get a credit for those costs now and the following 2 years after. So that's awesome. So I always say my motto is pay your future self, not the government. Don't do it. Don't pay the government. Pay your future self. Your future self will thank you for it. Okay. We are on tax credit number 7, the work opportunity credit. Someone out there, please let me know. Have you all heard of this before? The work opportunity credit. I find that this one here is it's like a lost gem. Like a lost gem. I say work opportunity credit. There's an acronym for it too. It's called WOTC. I guess there may be like insider nerd tax talk between me and my colleagues. But if anybody's ever heard of the work opportunity credit, please drop like a 1 in the comments. The work opportunity credit, you get a credit for hiring individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds, non-traditional employees. I see this a lot with barbershops. I see this a lot with men in barbershops. Now, does that mean that they're the only ones that can qualify? Absolutely not. Anybody, anytime you hire an ex-felon, a unemployed veteran, someone that is receiving like assistance for the government for living. So, food stamps or some other type of entitlement recipient. I hope that's not a bad word, but you know what I mean. If they're getting some type of assistance from the government to live, unemployed veterans, disabled veterans, ex-felons, summer youth employees from disadvantaged neighborhoods. So let's say you got some type of apprenticeship going on where you will hire at-risk youth for the summer. Maybe they come into the salon, they could sweep the floors, take out the garbage, do laundry, fold the towels, restock the back bar, things like that. You get a credit for hiring those type of workers. Now, a lot of salon and spas, barbershops, they're doing it already, but not knowing they can get a credit for it. You may have to ask, right, the employee a little bit about the background, but I would think you would have that information anyway when they applied, they interviewed, and you onboarded them. You would probably see that information anyway, but you may have to ask, and there's a form that you can use. So let's say you're not comfortable with being in an interview, or let's say they already come on board and you know about this credit and you just need to know a little bit of information, and that's like an awkward conversation. You could there's a form that they can fill out that explains it all. And all they do is just, fill it out with their information and they sign it to certify it. But please be aware, if you have hired any of these folks, you can get a credit for what you pay them in wages. And it's not like 100% of their wages. You have to look at the eligibility to know, how much, obviously, how to compute that tax credit. But man, I love this tax credit because it encourages giving these folks an opportunity that they may not have elsewhere. So number 8, business tax credit number 8. This is the Empowerment Zone and Renewal Community Employment Credit. That's a mouthful. But basically, this is when you hire someone from a low-income area. Look at that. And you may have to, obviously where they live already. You're gonna have their address. But then I believe the IRS has like a list of these areas that they consider, empowerment zone, low income. And if they live in that area, you can get a credit, for a portion of the wages that you're paying them. Again, this is the government's way. This is the government's way of encouraging employers to hire people with disadvantaged backgrounds or at-risk people. Okay. Number 9, the Employment Retention Credit. Now, this is from the CARES Act. This is new. This is like from March. This is COVID related. If your business was impacted by the pandemic, but you managed to still keep your employee on payroll, you can get credit for that. How awesome is that? Now, I will say that the COVID relief wasn't perfect, right? PPP, EIDL, the payroll tax credit, they were not perfect. But when you read some of this stuff, you can tell like they meant well. They meant well. The tax credit for employment retention, you can get a credit of 50% up to $10,000 that you pay each employee. But you have to have been impacted by the pandemic, right? So just think, I'm just thinking about that process, how the IRS, I'm sorry guys, I'm just thinking about that process, right? So if you guys didn't know, I worked for the IRS for 8 years as a revenue agent. For 8 years as a revenue agent, I went to businesses and I audited their, their tax return. And so a part of my brain is still like, okay, if I were to audit that issue, how would I audit it? I still to this day, and I've been out of the IRS for maybe 12 years now. I still to this day, no, I haven't been out 12 years. I've been out 4 years. I still to this day have that auditor's like brain in the back here, right? So I'm thinking like, how would they audit that credit? You have to prove you was financially impacted by COVID. So I think for you all, salon and spas, I think it's a no-brainer. Some of you are still going through it, even as other types of business are open. Even given that you guys have been great as far as sanitizing things even before COVID, because that's how you were trained in school. Your training requires it. I think it's a no-brainer that salon, spa, studios, people of personal care, I think you guys are good. Service providers. Now, it may be different for the beauty entrepreneur that has only products. Because ideally, you could have just taken your product home and continue business like nothing changed. Actually, you probably the IRS probably will make the case that you probably did better because everybody was shopping online because everybody was home. And so maybe you did better because you're product based. You can move that product home. You can run that business right from your living room, right? But for the service provider, I think you are good on being able to prove that you were impacted by the pandemic. And so the amount of this credit is 50% up to $10,000. And these are employees you had to have retained them on your payroll. Now, if you let them go, doesn't count if you wasn't able to retain them. It's called the employment retention tax credit. So again, 50% up to $10,000. $5,000 is not, it's money. Remember, tax credits are dollar for dollar. Okay, so we are the last one. If we have any comments or questions, y'all, now is the time to drop them in the comments, in the questions. Again, if you have if you're shy, you can just you can DM me and we can connect that way. But this last one is kind of a catch-all. It's the general business tax credit. This is a catch-all, right? So within this credit, there is like over 20 credits that you can take advantage of. Some of the ones off the top of my mind, it's like your energy, environmental related credits. If you're doing things in your salon, or if you're using certain vehicles, I have a couple of mobile spas, and if you are being energy environmentally friendly, you can get credits for those things as well. Are you guys catching on to how credits work? Like, credits have money saving power. And the reason why they're so much more effective in general than tax deductions is because there's supposed to be tools and mechanisms that the government is using for you all to do certain things. They're encouraging you to hire disadvantaged people. They're encouraging you to hire at-risk people. They're encouraging you to make your facilities and services accessible to the elderly and the disabled. They're trying to say, okay, save for yourself and your employee by retirement. They're saying, okay, help us help your employees watch their children with the child care. Please continue to innovate and create new processes and products with the R&D credit. If you are doing those things, if you take nothing else away from this, if you are doing those things anyway, make sure you explore if you can get a credit for it. Okay? So again, I'm going to remind you of that freebie. The freebie is going to list the tax planning framework. It's a cheat sheet. You can take that. You can look at your own tax return and you can see, you can kind of get your brain going like, I might have something here. I might can save some money. You know, if I tax plan this year, you should be tax planning every year. But this is a resource you can use every year to identify whether you have tax savings opportunities, or at least get that, get that mind going to start thinking in terms of tax planning. You can get that with the first link in my bio, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It's in my caption. And then if you look at this cheat sheet and you're thinking, give me a call. We can find out for sure. You don't have to think. I can tell you. Okay? The tax strategy session is free. It is 30 minutes. Prior to our session, I'm going to ask for a redacted copy of your latest filed tax return. I'm going to review it so that when we hop on our free 30-minute call, I can let you know what I found and give you an estimate of how much you can save. That's how that goes. You can get to my calendar and book your free spot using the second link in my bio, Instagram, and Facebook and YouTube. You have the link right to my online calendar in the caption. So with that, guys, if I don't see any questions or comments, I am going to let you go. Have a great rest of your Friday evening. Have a great weekend. And we are going to be talking about personal tax credits over the weekend. Okay. Personal tax credits, because it's when we stack these that we save the most money. Business tax credit, personal tax credit together saves money. Okay, so look out for that IGTV notice and Facebook, YouTube notice. Look out for that. It's going to happen over the weekend. I am going to put these 10 tax credits. I'm going to make a post so you can have those and save those so you guys can keep these in mind. And have a great rest of your day. Bye.